to say about this particular production that we're about to go into. And again, the notion of what we did the last time is not going to really necessarily help us for what we're going to do this time. Because it's going to be in the new theater, right? And it's with 10 or 11 actors. There's going to have to be some intervention. There has to be some theory about how you do an intervention. And for those of you who have been through these sort of textual games, it's always kind of an interesting, it's an interesting journey to figure out how you're going to cut, splice, reconfigure, double up. What's the theory behind? How do you replicate what we may or may not think was the way it was done originally with 15, 18 people, or whatever that was? Does the doubling, everybody who doubles, so they need to be their opposite side, their shadow side, everything. That doesn't always line up to be that logical. Sometimes it works, and then you have a rule, then you have to break the rule, and is everybody going to follow the rule? They're going to be mad that you had a rule, and then you broke the rule. You know, all these kind of fun things, right? And so we've got our own issues with gender and, you know, ethnicities as well to bring to, which is our world, you know? So how do we honor this thing that is written 400 years ago that has elements of whatever time that was in Rome to today? And where along those lines will Amanda sort of end up dramaturgically honoring? Don't know the answer to that yet. But already we've got sort of the notion of adaptation coming, right? Which of course has been a gesture for about 400 years. But that's going to be something that we're going to have to consider as well when we re-enter the play, you know, in rehearsal. Again, for me, it's always interesting to find out what the thing was originally in its full form, and figuring out how you want to speculate, and you know, how then to come up with an equation for how to cut it. I mean, do you just sort of cut those opening scenes? Again, it's a very interesting opening scene. We'll talk 80 lines, man. 80 lines, you got it. You got the whole play. So if you mess with that, what are you messing with later, right? Do you just say, well, let's just take 5% out of every scene? You know, that's one way to cut things. Sometimes we do that equitably. Is that really the way it should be done? Because some things have more weight than others. We were talking before about how certain lines and words sort of show up periodically as a reminder to us orally and sort of emotionally. So if you start cutting away, how do you leave enough space in between for those things to land, right? So you have space in between when you hear it the next time, because that's part of it. Because I really believe a lot in his innate ability as the poet to know that things are going to be heard aloud, and that sonic has emotional value. So what happens when you shorten that time between one milepost to the next? Don't know the answer to it, right? But these are all things that will have consequences. And these are the kinds of things that Amanda will have to wrestle with, just by sheer fact of, you know, you can only have 11 people in the new theater. So, art is created, best art's created by limitations. That's what we stand by. And that's what we'll see happen today. So thanks for being here today, guys.